Annie and this is Finn. We've been really enjoying Kids Church and we can't wait for today's to start. Kids Church is going to start in 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome back to EK News with Sophie McCullough. This week's breaking news is that people are allowed to be reunited with their loved ones and family members while keeping their 2 metres distance. Remember everyone, stay social distancing and stay safe. We hope to see you all very soon.
No, I won't be afraid. You are with me. You are right beside me every day. Even when it feels like everything's going wrong, I can look up to you, God, and find my strength. Your love has lifted me above the raging sea. And I just gotta say, your love makes me brave, and I won't be afraid. Your love makes me brave, I can face anything. Your love makes me brave. I was lost and afraid till you found me. You lifted me up and gave me strength. Anywhere that I go, you go with me. Oh, Lord, you give me the courage to live each day. Your love is
lost will be found. The freedom we live is one we cry out. We carry the cross, you died and rose again. My God, I'll only ever give my all. You sent the sun from heaven to earth to live us all this eternally hell. I search for truth and all I found is you. My God, I'll only ever give my all. Jesus, when I live for your name, will never be ashamed of you. I praise and all we got today. Take it all, take it all. You sent the sun from heaven to earth to deliver us all. It's eternally hurt. I search for truth and all I found is you. My God, I'll only ever give my all. Jesus, we're living for your name. We'll never be ashamed of you. I praise and all we got today. Take it all, take it all. Jesus, we're living for your name. We'll never be ashamed of you. I praise and all we got today. Take it all, take it all. Running to the world is years of light, following the shining light. In the hands of God to save the world in my life. Running to the world is years of light, following the shining light. In the hands of God to save the world in my life. Jesus, we're living for your name. We'll never be ashamed of you. I praise and all we ought to take it all, take it all. Jesus, we're living for your name. We'll never be ashamed of you. I praise and all we ought to take it all, take it all. Jesus, we're living for your name. We'll never be ashamed of you. I praise and all we ought to take it all, take it all, take it all.
Would you believe me? Would you listen if I told you that there is a love that makes you wait and never holds you back? So won't you break free? Won't you break free? Get up and dance in His love. So won't you break free? Won't you break free? Get up and dance in His love. Who would have thought that God would give His one and only Son? Taking a stand upon the cross to show His perfect love. So won't you break free? Won't you break free? Get up and dance in His love. So won't you break free? Won't you break free? Get up and dance in His love. His love never ending. There's no escaping the truth. There's no mistaking it's you. God forever. Get up and dance and praise you. Now is the time to take the freedom that has come our way. Offer our lives to see the glory of your name. Here we go. So won't you break free? Won't you break free? Get up and dance in His love. Won't you break free? Won't you break free? Get up and dance in His love. His love never ending. There's no escaping the truth. There's no mistaking it's you.
This week we have a brand new memory verse for you and your family to learn. You're going to need a partner for this one, so make sure you spread away all of your furniture and have a big space so you can get prepared. This week it is found from Genesis chapter 20 verse 50. It is quite a long one, so you're gonna need to think really hard to try remember the actions and all of the words, but I think you can do it. The Bible says in Genesis chapter 20 verse 50, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people." Okay, good. That was good. But I think we could try it a wee bit faster. Okay, you ready? The Bible says in Genesis chapter 20 verse 50, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people." Not bad. But I think we could try it a wee bit faster. Are you ready? Give yourself a shake. Ready? The Bible says in Genesis chapter 20 verse 50, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people." Well done, that was so good. I am sure you had lots of fun doing that memory verse. But it's really important to remember that God is the one who plans everything for good. No matter what the devil tries to do, God has always got this.
Welcome, Kingdom Kids. Thank you so much for helping me with last week's investigation. Remember, we are investigating the Faithful Hall of Fame. So, let's look at this week's case. And speaking of case, we need to look inside my case so that we can see the case. But first, we need to go underground into the FBI HQ. Welcome back, Kingdom Kids, to the underground FBI HQ. Now kids, I hope that you remember what we were investigating last week. But if you need reminding, we're going to watch a recap video from the Saddleback Kids. So, pay attention.
The Faithful Hall of Fame. Joseph. This is Joseph.
Hey!
Who was the son of Israel and Rachel. But he had 11 brothers who hated him and sold him into slavery. After being put in jail, Joseph told of the future of Egypt when he interpreted Pharaoh's dreams, and Joseph found favor with the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh made Joseph a leader in his kingdom.
So, last week we were investigating the life of Joseph and why he got onto the Faithful Hall of Fame. But it was only some of his story, so this week we need to carry on with his case. And of course, speaking of case, let's look inside my case to look at this week's case. So, at the end of last week, we saw that Pharaoh made Joseph a leader of Egypt because he saw Joseph as a wise man for understanding his dream. God helped Joseph to know what was going to happen in the future. So, Joseph was able to prepare Egypt for what was about to happen. From these dreams, Joseph knew that there were going to be 7 years of plenty, so Egypt had to be smart in what they did with their food. But after these 7 years, there were going to be 7 years of famine. So there was going to be a shortage of food. Joseph was also prepared for the famine, making sure there was enough food for all of Egypt and even other lands. There was even famine in the land that Joseph came from. When Joseph's father found out that there was food in Egypt, he sent 10 of Joseph's brothers to travel to get food for them. He didn't want his youngest son, Benjamin, to go in case something bad might have happened to him. So, when the brothers got to Joseph, Joseph recognized them, but they didn't know who he was. So, he decided to test his brothers. Joseph wanted his brothers to go and then to come back with Benjamin. Joseph then put his brothers in jail for 3 days, and then he let them go. But Joseph kept one of the brothers in jail, so they would have to come back to get him. The brothers came back to Egypt with Benjamin, just as Joseph had told them to. So he released the brother that was still in jail. Joseph was going to try one more thing on his brothers. He sent the brothers back home, but Joseph got his servant to hide his silver cup in Benjamin's bag. When they were traveling back home, the servant went after them and accused them of stealing the cup. So this meant the brothers had to go back again to Joseph. But then Joseph finally told his brothers who he was and all that had happened to him. But then Joseph forgave his brothers for all that they had done to him. But Joseph still hadn't seen his father in so long, so he sent his brothers back to go and get Jacob to bring him to Egypt. Joseph could finally be with his dad again, and Pharaoh allowed his whole family to stay in Egypt. Joseph lived 110 years, and just before his death, he explained that God would surely come and help them, and he would lead his people out of Egypt and into the promised land. Now I know why Joseph has made it into the Faithful Hall of Fame. Through this week's and last week's investigation, we see that Joseph has always lived with hope that God would provide for his people, and Joseph's life shows us that even when people harm us, God makes it all work together for our good. And Joseph also forgave his brothers for what they did to him.
Just as Joseph had told the Pharaoh, Egypt had 7 years of abundance. Then the 7 years of abundance came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had said. But the Egyptians had food to eat because Joseph had planned for the famine. There was famine in all the other lands, and many came to Joseph to buy food. There was even a famine in the land that Joseph came from. So when Israel heard that there was grain in Egypt, he sent his sons to buy some. But Israel did not send Benjamin with the others, because he was afraid that harm might come to him. When Joseph's brothers came to him, Joseph recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger. So Joseph decided to test his brothers. He had his interpreter tell them to send for Benjamin, who had stayed home. And then he threw his brothers in jail for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph let all but one of the brothers take grain to their starving households with the instruction to bring Benjamin back. But Joseph provided for his brothers' journey and gave them grain and silver. The brothers did exactly as Joseph instructed, as they were scared that God was punishing them for what they had done to Joseph so many years before. They traveled home to their father's house, then back to Egypt. Now that he had seen that they brought Benjamin, Joseph was overwhelmed, so he released the brother who was still in prison. But Joseph decided to play one more trick on his brothers. He sent the brothers away but told his servant to hide his silver cup in Benjamin's bag. Then Joseph told the servant to go after the brothers and retrieve the cup. The brothers hadn't traveled far before the servant stopped them and accused them of stealing the cup. Joseph could no longer control himself before his attendants. He made them leave so he could be alone with his brothers, and he told his brothers who he really was.
Ta-da!
He told them of his life and all he had experienced, and he forgave them for what they had done. God was with Joseph and took care of him and showed him favor.
So, Kingdom kids, there is a place for you on the wall of the Faithful Hall of Fame. Your challenge this week is to, like Joseph did, we need to put our hope in God that He will provide for us. And we also need to trust that God will make everything work together for our good. And we need to learn to forgive one another.
Hi guys, it's Mark here. I hope that you're all keeping well at the moment. I'm missing all of you so much, and I can't wait to be back in Kids Church with you all very soon. I hope you've enjoyed Kids Church as much as I have today, and we're now just going to pray to finish off. The words are going to come up on the screen, so why don't you all join in with me? Dear God, thank you that you're always with me. Thank you that you work all things out for my good. Even when it seems like things may be going wrong, I can always trust that you're working it out. Help me to be like Joseph and to always use my gifts for you and also to forgive others, just like you forgave me. I love you, God. In Jesus' name, Amen.
We've loved Kids Church at home this week, and we hope you have too. We hope you join us next week. Say bye.
Welcome, Kingdom Kids. Thank you for helping me solve last week's case. Or, speaking about kids, let's look in my